Nigeria, on the west coast of Central Africa, is the most populous nation on the continent. The country is about half Muslim, half Christian, with a minority practicing even earlier traditions. Across the land, Nigerians also identify with historic roots in over 300 tribal ethnicities, each with pride in its individuality of language and culture. Nigeria's wealth is in her abundant natural resources, extraordinary human resilience and hospitality, and rich diversity of traditions. Paradoxically, her greatest challenges are rooted largely in human disconnection. The resultant ignorance and thus fear of each other perpetuate citizens' inability to embrace one another, cooperate, and share resources and wealth. The resultant poverty, competition, and disunity fuels violent, sometimes brutal acts against one another that cry out for a new quality of successful human engagement across the land.
The bloody aftermath of deadly clashes in Jos State in Nigeria. As many as 300 people, many of them young children, were killed in the attacks early on Sunday. Aid workers say some bodies were charred and some had been shot. It was not immediately clear what triggered the latest attacks, which left many in serious condition in hospital. Attacks between the two groups in January left at least 326 people dead in Jos province. Shannon Napton, Reuters.
The authorities in Nigeria say they've restored calm to an area around the city of Jos, where hundreds of people have been killed in ethnic violence.
A dusk to dawn curfew was imposed, but it failed to stop this new bloodletting. This week's flare-ups in Jos are by no means the first. In the year 2000, it's thought deadly riots killed over 1,000 people. In 2008, disputed elections led to new clashes. And now again, in 2010, hundreds more have been killed. Jos sits on Nigeria's fertile Middle Belt, a tense dividing line between the mostly Muslim north and the largely Christian south. But sporadic outbursts of killing aren't just about religion. They're also caused by power politics that fuel suspicion and resentment between communities. In the hope the pattern of violence won't again repeat itself. Bridget Kendall, BBC News.
It was in response to these repeated acts of violence, mistrust, and alienation that 200 brave Muslims and Christians chose to engage in the Second International Conference on Youth and Interfaith Communication in Jos, central Nigeria.